This is, of course. Hey, there we go. This always happens. Hi, everyone out there in the wonderful land of Twitch. Welcome. Hopefully, this is our moment of the classic Twitch seance of Can You Hear Us Out in Chat Land? And just making sure, really quick, do you hear us? Go ahead and drop down in our discussion. Let us know. Hey, yeah, we do hear you. Audio's good or whatever. And hey, who's this guy? He's really handsome or something. Whatever. Just put something there. So we're good. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Tonight we have an exciting game and quite the opportunity because there is a good chance that many of my viewers tonight have maybe, like some of my players at one time, never heard of Fragged Empire. Uh, but before we do that, let's go ahead and be sure that I introduce my players tonight. So, guys, going around the table, I think let's go ahead and start off with Allah.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Ala. I am a software developer by day and occasional RPG art illustrator by night.
And we are really happy to have you on here. So, next up in that lineup, let's go ahead and have the ladies go first. So, Cece.
Hi there, my name is Cece. By day, I'm a client manager, and by night, I actually have a podcast. We're called The Drunken Geek, and we're in links in places, probably in the VOD.
Awesome, awesome. And again, great to have you on here. And we actually have returning again player and GM Ted.
Hi,
Go
everyone.
ahead.
I'm Ted. I am one part of Escapebox Games. We make the suited role playing game, which was featured on the Seriously Let's Play a few months ago. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to trying out Fragged Empire.
And we also have coming back today, we have Sean.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean. By day, I'm a lead system analyst specializing in data integration. Mouthful. By night, I play on different games on Rook and Rasp, and I'm a mini painter too.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you all so much for joining. And of course, I'm your GM tonight. My name is John, and I am a pre K teacher, if you can imagine. That is my job by day. Uh, but I'm also half the ownership with the network here. And I just want to toss out Rook and Rasp is pretty much what we like to consider community theater. We are a place where we try and pull together people from all over the internet who are part of the tabletop industry, as well as part of just average players to create a good and the word safe space, but it is accurate. We try and create a place where people can come together and have community. So, with that said, I will also drop the reality that I am, as a storyteller, a much more cinematic style storyteller. I'm not so much the hard rules. I'm more rule of cool is going to be number one in my book. And I really want to get the idea, the flavor, as well as some of the understandings of this universe and some of the rules limitedly, but that way that if this is your first time being exposed to Fragged Empire, that you too can get into it. Uh, this table joining me is bringing a tale of Fragged Empire for the Rook and Rasp, and beyond the shores of the United States. I want to say this is a beautiful world filled with other role playing games. Fragged is one of them, and it is originally from Australia. Fragged Empire was the first in a series of RPGs created by Wade, and second edition will be coming to Kickstarter in a few months, which I think everybody should be looking forward to. The artwork looks absolutely amazing, and honestly, it's like every time a book came out in this series from Fragged Empire, Fragged Seas, Fragged Aeternum, each one has gotten better and better and better. This is going to be a great release when it comes. That said, so what is Fragged Empire? The story of Fragged Empire tells a tale of a post apocalyptic universe. In this universe, mankind is extinct simply by time and genetic drift. But before they disappeared, an entire race is created to help humanity preserve their legacy or save them. Hey, it would have been nice if we kind of existed, but such is life. Uh, Fast forward a few centuries, and the race humanity created has now been destroyed by galactic war, and all that is left up for higher life forms are those who were created by in the last few centuries by that race. So everybody at this table is playing a race that is two races removed from what anything that we can understand. And obviously, a lot of war and destruction. And we're in a society that is built on the backbone of two societies that were much more technologically advanced. But we're obviously at a point where space travel, large, going across galaxies is a part of this world. So that said, though, tonight, our story is a tale specifically about a ship known as the Infinity. So give me a few seconds here and we're going to go ahead and kick this off. So, all right. So, the Infinity is unlike most ships you'll come across in this galaxy. It's an ancient ship from an era long forgotten, an unbelievable long cargo ship with that most wicked working crews really could barely hope to afford. The ship was christened the Infinity decades ago when various members in the corporate fleet marveled at how easily it could haul just about anything, either in its multiple hangars or by strapping the cargo and letting it haul it from one end of the galaxy to the other, as long as areas with higher planetary gravity and the low gravity fields were avoided. Over the decades, it's been retrofitted with an array of small deployable solar sails and a multitude of mechanical grappling arms, which we now find devoid of cargo it would normally carry. As it appears, now the Infinity has taken on an additional biological and insect like appearance similar to that of a beetle. What truly sets it apart, though, are the three arrays of engines allowing a high level of thrust, which at one time was capable of planetary landing and takeoff, as well as coveted ley line travel. As well, this ship has two counter rotating centrifuges, creating a very stable artificial gravity. Now, as for where our story begins, around the midsection of the Infinity is an area with a worn and ancient brass sign. Uh, and on the sign, it is a kind of a green and pink patina of age that in human basic reads briefing and logistics. Whatever the original purpose of this room was lost, over time. Instead, within the room is now a loose triangle of tables, and the walls are lined with multiple containers that said to contain the best dehydrated meals from a production satellite somewhere in orbit in the corporately owned, world of Alabaster. Now, up against the wall, we have a Catharian rigged radio blasting pirated tunes from a corporate owned satellite. And the quality of the radio, the transmission seems to fluctuate from a whisper hidden under layers of static to ear piercing clarity and volume. Now, charging silently out of this room and down a Spartan gunmetal gray corridor, carrying a plasma acetylene torch, comes a four legged creature resembling the cross between Robocop and a corgi. Its long whiskers twitching as its teeth grip tight, its prize with a comical grin. It scans the room, the hallway, with its green glowing optical visor and darts from corridor to corridor. The only proof of its passing is the carbon blasted scorch mark of the torch held just barely above ground level. Now, a door activates in front of our very good boy and revealing. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and get my players in on this story. So, players, who would like to go first, telling me about the dog finding them? All right. So go ahead and introduce your character, Sean.
So I'm playing Jax Omni. I'm a Kaltoran. What you see is a uh, 5 foot 10 inch male, about 165 pounds, wiry kind of build. Um, he's youngish for a Kaltoran. He's around 35 years old. Uh, reddish brown dreadlocks that have been tied back. So while he's crawling around the internals, components of the ship's engines, he's not going to get his hair caught up. Kaltorans have 4 ears, and he's got various little studs of various colors all pierced along his ears. Um, on his right arm, you're going to see a repeating fractal that goes down from his shoulder all the way to the top of his hands, and it goes from like a deep blue to like an electric blue. dressed in spacer clothes. He's got a vest on, a shirt, uh, grease stained pants because, it's the future, but engines still require grease to function properly. And we haven't seemed to be able to figure out a solution better than toxic grease. So you're going to see those stains on his pants. Um, you're going to see him come out of the room after the corgi, just yelling, "Damn it, Flash, give it back! That's not a toy. I've told you before, it's not a toy." And I just take off running after him. And as I run after him, I've got a satchel on that's full of tools. I've got a big wrench hanging from my belt, and if you're very careful, you notice a submachine gun tucked into the small of his back.
All right. Well, that said, Flash kind of grins and the torch bobbles in his mouth a moment and it kind of falls for a second, igniting the plate beneath him. And he scoops down really quick, grabs it, and darts back out the door. But not before you begin to hear a sound that says, "Warning, warning, pressure release activated. Pressure release activated."
Uh,
And you begin to hear the sound of air rushing in the room, uh, and your ears pop. So, what are you going to do? Let's go ahead and just for fun, how about we have our first roll of the evening?
so I'm guessing that plating he melted through was exterior hull.
You don't. You understand this ship, and you understand quite a bit of it being the mechanic still on board. I must say that no, this isn't actually an exterior hull, but quite likely what he's done is when the torch fell and cut through the plating, it probably cut through some circuitry right below that plate that controlled air pressure and airflow. Hopefully, not the O2 sensor, and it's getting a little bit too rich in here. That would be bad.
Yeah, with a lit torch. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I guess I'm like, I'm gonna grab my hand communicator. I'm gonna bridge, and I'm gonna let them know that the damn corgi's got the plasma torch again, and it's on. We got to stop him. I can't chase him. I got to fix the hole, and so I'm gonna hunker down in the hole, shine a light down into it, and see what he messed up, and if I can fix it right now.
Over the intercom, as you call up to bridge, one of the two kind of low level drone AIs answer back with a okay, and sends out the message to the rest of the team. But let's go ahead and so you're going to grab your tools and
Yep.
work on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna shine my light down in the hole, see if I can identify the obvious problem, and hopefully it's just reconnecting some wires if I can.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and say that for you, and it's not like this was a major break of any sort, but I'm going to set a difficulty for this at easy. So that's going to be an 8.
Okay.
Do you have a skill
Oh
that,
yes,
uh, which skill are you going to be using?
mechanics, or I can use electronics depending on what he's damaged.
All right. You have the tools.
On my belt.
All right. For right now, I'm not going to go ahead and give you a bonus
Okay.
on description. So you're going to use your skill and your tools and roll 3d6. And so for our audience out there listening, this is pretty much how tests are done. It's a 3d6 system. There is options for other things that could happen during the game, but it is a matter of taking a skill, the equipment, and a bonus possibly from the ST or the GM to improve and roll.
So I rolled an 11 with my personal bonus of 2, so it's 13, and I also rolled a 6.
Oh, okay. So just to expedite a little bit, because sixes usually mean that you're going to get something special in addition. We're just going to say that you run over reach in and yank that plate up a moment. And I'm just gonna, let's rule of cool it and just say that old ship, and of course, everything works better when you hit it. And so
Smack
you
it a
just,
couple times with my wrench, maybe wrap some stuff up with some tape, stop
and
and
all of a
listen.
sudden, the sirens stop and the air sort of normalizes there in the room.
Take off after the dog.
Well, the dog is gone.
Look, yeah,
So
I'll
the
follow his
dog,
trail.
yeah, but the dog has run off, and all you could follow is the scorch mark yet again. But that said, so our dog is continuing to run down through the halls, leaving a scorch mark in the hallway as it goes along. Uh, and this time, another door opens up, and who would like to go next? I've got three
Sure, I'll
players.
take it.
Hey, okay, go ahead and introduce us to your character.
So I am playing as Fazra. Fazra is a member of the remnant species. They are basically very tall, spacefaring catfolk, for lack of a better description. I am saying his fur and color pattern is very much kind of a palace cat, which is why I have one over my shoulder here. And Fazra is currently sitting cross-legged in the middle of the medical bay. He is surrounded by a suite of sensors that are all pointed towards him. And he's just sitting there kind of meditating and focusing, and there's this kind of lightish, pale aura of just light around him that maybe that's what the sensors are trying to detect. Don't know. But either way, when the warning for the oxygen depletion starts going out and then the robo dog comes into the room, he's going to kind of irritatedly poke one eye open. Buckmaster, I've been working on this meditation for a week now.
You hear the telltale sign of a large, muscular tail hitting a medical rack over next to where he is sat down. That tail is just beating it back and forth, and you see it start to kind of wobble. And you do see quite a few expensive pieces of medical equipment still resting on the top of it, and it's wobbling back and forth as his tail hits it. And finally, it looks like it's going to fall over.
Yep. Fazra is going to jump up from his cross-legged position and rush over, the aura of light vanishing from around him, and Buckmaster, and he's going to try to grab the shelving and the tools and everything before anything gets broken too much beyond repair.
All right. I'm going to set a difficulty at 8. Do you have anything that's going to work with that?
I believe, let's see. Can we go with maybe a physical roll of him jumping up and rushing over, and just him shouting, "Buckmaster, Jinx is going to have some words with you if he sees you with that torch."
Uh, we'll get to that in a moment, but go ahead and give me that roll.
All right. Well, that is a 11, Bob, with 1 6.
Oh, okay. You grab the uh, the tray before it clatters to the ground. You just manage to scoop everything up and secure it safely. And on top of that, I'm going to say that the dog darts between your legs, and you manage to jump up out of the way before that torch comes near anything that could have been bad.
Buckmaster, you're really starting to. Albion is watching, forgetting the corgi, forgetting the dog, focusing on the tools. Oh, the readings. And he's going to rush over to the sensors and try to figure out what readings he had.
All right. Next up, who is going to run into our pup?
We'll
All
go.
right. Allah, please introduce us to your character.
All right. I'm assuming as Buckmaster is running through the halls, he will eventually get to what is probably some sort of workshop. It looks like somebody's dad from like the 90s to like the early thousands saved computer parts. Like a hoarder's house, but it's all just like scrap electronics. They're littered on the floor, they're littered on all the shelves. And among them is uh an, a robot who seems to be in about as good a shape as the ship. It is very much a gangly, pieced together, uh, droid like appearance, sort of like a protocol droid, but in far worse shape. Like someone that's been on like a crawler for a bit. Um, the head is like a giant display screen that is cracked and patched in a few places, but the because the Palantor's attention, which sorry, I should have mentioned, this is a Palantor. They are a robotic consciousness of once humans, but this particular construction appears to be in the middle of watching what appears to be several holodramas from all over the galaxy across various monitors and like all sorts like CRT level. Very wrapped in this, and there's the flashing oxygen on one of the screens, and a little floaty droid type construction seems to be like concerned about this and is tapping its own body at the monitor, trying to get the larger figure's attention. And eventually, the larger figure turns around, its monitor face, a look of impassiveness, and says, "Oh, Lieutenant Buckmaster Flash, what is your malfunction?"
And he is sitting there just looking at you, that tail still wagging. And it just sets the torch down on the ground in front of it and looks up at you with the biggest, happiest grin you could have ever imagined. Uh, it just turns around and takes off. But you have a lit torch now in your room full of technology that is starting the amount of energy and the pressure and the fire. It's starting to kind of spin and cut a hole into the floor of your room. So, how are you going to react with this?
This is unsatisfactory. Not again. And I suppose the good thing to do would be attempt a reflex of some
Yeah,
kind to try and grab it before it does more damage than is possible. But unfortunately, this physical construction is in very poor shape, so I only get 2 dice on my reflex.
okay. On top of that, though, so I am setting the difficulty at 8. Uh, but this is not a difficulty of whether or not you can pick it up. This is a difficulty, this will overall decide if it does something nasty to the room. Okay?
Here we go. Well, that was a 5.
Okay. So it takes you a moment, and you trip on a few wires and step on something. You're hoping that it was maybe some upholstery and not something else. Uh, and you reach over and grab the torch. As basically over the loudspeaker, you hear it say that emergency door lock procedures engaged. And as the corgi dodges out, your doors basically close and the room pressurizes, and it says, door will release in 4 hours.
Perfect. We shall not be interrupted from days of our second lives.
All right, so CC, this leaves us with you.
Yes. So I would say that Benji has she was in the flight deck when we got the announcement that the corgi has the lantern.
Mhm.
And just hears it. The two robots that received the announcement start to tell her that Captain, you know, the corgi has the lantern, and she just pinches the bridge of her nose. Damn it, Jax, I thought we told you to keep a hand on your lanterns. And she turns and walks out of the flight deck and starts looking around. And I'm assuming that she's going to run into Jax maybe in a hallway and he no longer has the lantern.
I would think so. And I would say that as y'all enter the hallway, in the middle of the hall between you
Mm-hmm.
is a corgi with no lantern present either.
Okay. Um, so real quick, a character description for Benji. I have Captain Benjamina Swift. She is 5'8", 5'10" with her boots on. She has on a white button down with a fitted black coat over it. Her boots are like almost knee height and black leather laced up with like a 2-inch heel on them so that she appears taller. Because she doesn't want people to think she's short. Um, she's a little bit gruff, but fine. You know, she's nice enough. It's fine. Um, she's got long black hair, and she is a corp. So she's got the little yellow markings on the back of her neck that identify her as corporate. And as she walks out this door, she sees Buckmaster sitting there and goes, "Oh, Buckmaster, there you are. Why do you not have a torch? Did you lose it again?" And she pinches the bridge of her nose. "Can you show me where you put it down?" Does he react?
And yeah, he looks up at you, and of course, to describe our creature, I mean, he is essentially a dog, but he looks like a corgi. Uh, he has no eyes per se. Has what looks to be a implanted visor that has the classic green bar moving back and forth like he's some sort of weird Cylon. And it looks like part of his spine and his rear hips have been replaced by robotic parts.
Okay.
And so somebody obviously at some point dropped a lot of money into this guy. Uh, but he basically just looks up at you, quite happy, cocks ear as you're talking, uh, spins in place twice, sits down, and lays his head on the ground and kind of sploots right there in the hallway.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to sigh and I'm going to walk up. I'll give him a little pat on the top of his head between his ears, and then start walking and see if I can find any scorch marks on the floor.
All right. I will say yes, there are definitely scorch marks and not hard to follow. He
Okay.
didn't really do much back, doubling back or anything, and this ship is immense. Think about as far as just the corridors linking you from room to room. Think of football fields in length. This is a huge ship.
Big ship. Okay.
So, with that said, I will say that if you and Jack want to have a run-in, you're more than welcome to. So for Jack's Omni, that is.
I do have a feeling we're going to bump into each other in the hallway.
Come running up slightly out of breath because I've been running the whole way trying to figure out where that damn dog went.
Ah, Jax. Lost a lantern, I see.
No, didn't lose it this time, Captain. I put it up on a high shelf. I don't know where that corgi got anti-grav from. All I
Well,
knew is I looked up and he was on top of my work shelf and he had the torch and somehow he had turned it on. I told you that dog's problems.
I really hope that Ellie didn't install him with any upgrades. Okay, I'm sure that we can find him. Well, I know where he is, actually. He's decided to take a little recharge outside of the flight deck, but
Oh, so you got the plasma torch back?
no. When I walked out, it was no longer with him, and I asked him where he put it, and he merely took a nap.
That
So,
tracks. All right, so let's find a torch.
okay.
All
Do we
right.
notice that Ellie's door is closed?
It is,
Is
and
it
yeah,
normally closed? Would this be something that is odd to us?
Ellie.
I think the door is usually open.
Okay.
Privacy is an organic problem.
Makes sense. So we see scorch marks going into the door. We see a closed door and no scorch marks out, but clearly the dog is with us.
That seems to be
So
the case.
I believe that perhaps the torch may be in this room. What do you think, Jax? Does that make sense to you?
Could be. I mean, I didn't see any plasma burns coming back the way we were coming from.
Neither did I. I'm going to knock on Ellie's door. Not usually something we have to do. It's very awkward.
The reply comes in over your comms instead of through the door. How may I assist you?
Hi, Ellie. Have you seen a plasma torch today?
There is no fire on these premises.
That sounds suspicious.
We are handling it.
Do you have the torch in your possession?
It is among us.
Okay. Is it off now?
It shall be shortly.
As long as the dog no longer has it, and it's not just somewhere random on the ship, I suppose you can hold on to it for now, unless you feel like opening the door and handing it to us.
The doors are on override mode. If you give me 47 seconds, I will open them for you.
All right.
I don't know if I need to do a computers check to override the kind of the safety locks.
Not really. I mean, altogether, you have control of the ship. Now, I do want to ask, you know, as kind of a resident AI on this ship, there are probably some cameras on here. How much of this have you been watching, or have you, as far as the dog, the captain walking around, interacting with Jax?
All of it, but maybe at 25% attention capacity.
Okay.
Days of our second lives are on, man.
Truth.
Between that and
Stories.
corporate hospital, ooh, so much. I have 3,000 years of media to consume.
Awesome. Now, so for the ship size this team is serving on, it is without a doubt, this is a limited crew. One may say a skeleton crew, which is definitely fitting since this is the Infinity's last voyage. Uh, as it, as if this were an ancient and great sea beast, groaning to reach its graveyard or of its ancestors, the ship you have called home is now on its final leg. A few days ago, the last of the ship's cargo and comrades who had shared this berth disembarked on a new colony world to either settle or to wait to sign on with the next supply ship that will hopefully take them back to the Haven system. Now, you find yourself now in a final travel, which will take you through a transit jump gate near the core world of Mishpacha, which is one of the interior worlds of the Haven system. So, that said, is there anything any of y'all are planning to do on this voyage? It is, it is technically faster than light travel, but it's not instant. So, is there anything y'all are going to be doing? Let's just go around the table really quick. I'm going to start actually with Sean this time.
Um, Probably just doing system checks, making sure that everything mechanical is in working order, trying to keep on top of things, because if things go wrong, I don't know if one person can manage all this. So I'm definitely staying on top of things and running checks and kicking the tires, making sure everything is working order before we set out.
Okay. And going over with Allah.
Well, Ellie14 will happily share any of the holodramas that they have brought on board. But at the same time, the ship is old and experiences quite frequent sensor reading fluctuations, so they will be working on that as well. We should know that there's a non-zero chance of malfunction in the rehydrator. Please take care.
All right. And then let's go ahead and Ted with Fazra.
Uh, the first thing Fozzer is going to do is find Jax and inform them that Buckmaster is running around with a torch. But the rest of the trip is going to be spent working on his research. For those that are curious, Fazra is a species of the remnant, like I said earlier, which up until a few years ago, he was a very, very angry ghost and has recently been brought back to life. And he's trying to figure out how the hell that happened. And he is studying what is called the All Beings power to try to figure out how they can use it to bring more of the remnant back to life, which is what Buckmaster interrupted. So he's going to be spending the rest of his trip mostly to himself in the medical bay, just doing scans, working on his research, and participating with the rest of the crew if he has to.
Okay. So for this duration of this travel, which is hours, if not days, days kind of lose, all purpose here. And really, when you're a spacefaring people in general, it comes down to what time are you here, how many hours do you clock in, and what exactly you do in your free time. So, with that said, though, the starshine disappears from the faster than light travel, and you exit the stable wormhole. Wherever you are in the ship at that time, you feel that slight perceptible inertia in the moment of this transit. It's like that moment where something just slightly changes, like somebody tapped the brakes if you're in a car. That kind of feeling of the change of inertia. It's not like it's a dead stop. It's just something different. Now, another one I could have used is maybe getting off an escalator, where you're still walking, but it's different than movement. Within milliseconds, though, the comms begin to rattle off with numerous transmissions and signals from the surrounding gate that two large space stations here brought by. The primary one is your flight control, but looking outside the windows and looking around you now, you begin to notice that this is a very busy port. There are ships from all over uh, the Haven system now filling up a queue. You see the somewhat more, some of the ships look a little bit organic, a little bit squid like. You see the large blocky ships of the Corp for their transports. But you also see some of their higher end, faster models. You see the solar sailed ships, the Palantor, and they are this flying in this chaotic pattern all around you, this filling the space up. And of course, your two AIs in the front, the two drone AIs, just begin piloting, pulling through. You hear signals going back and forth from all the different robots, uh, radio chatter, laser communications. Everything's going off at the same time, and it is hard to make out until one message finally begins to cut through. And within that message, it says Trade Ship Infinity. Now, Trade Ship, you have been ordered to exit the queue by the Corporation Customs and Inspections, and will follow the route being forwarded to you for orbit near the second moon. Will you comply?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. And they send you some coordinates,
Mhm.
and of course the two drones, David and Bowie, take control of the ship and begin to fly you out and away.
I've never understood why they want to inspect us when they're retiring us, but whatever.
I guess they want to make sure that we're not going to take any little side trips with any illicit cargoes.
Why would we do that?
Why
Now,
wouldn't we?
now it is true that the ship's manifest does show that there is no cargo and only your limited crew. So it is possible that this is just precautionary.
Fair.
But that said, is there anything anyone's going to be doing as basically, you leave the station behind, and this moon that you're going to is quite a ways away. You have a little bit of time.
I think I will go to basically our little mess hall area and compose a couple of quick messages back home and send those off before we're out of range of any kind of communications.
Okay.
There's a little drone working on the rehydrator.
So I walk in and hi, Ellie.
Hello.
Is it is it software or do I need to get my tools out and fix the hydrator?
We are running an analysis.
Let me know if you need any help.
Certainly, I would not use this for your benefit for the
Oh
next
no no.
1 hour 26 minutes.
Oh wow. Okay. I wasn't here for that. I'm just gonna send a couple of messages home to my family before we go.
Okay. Now, that said, do you have any skills that interact with the ability to make transmissions?
Hmm. Electronics. I've got some of that. I do not have a whole lot of communication or computer.
No communications?
No.
Okay. I'm going to say this, that as you finish up your message and get ready to send it, uh, you notice a whole lot of static and it is not showing any connection.
Kind of bang it. Look at it again. Ah,
Go ahead and give me an electronics check, and I'm going to say that for this check, we're going to set it at a 12.
out of 12?
Yep.
Okay. No, that's a 9.
Okay. You're not certain what's going on, but you cannot get any messages out.
We
Hey,
detect levels of perspiration. Are you in need of assistance?
what's up with the communications? It's all static. I can't connect to send anything out. Is there something down somewhere?
The communications array has been non-functioning for the last 3 months.
It's been that long since I tried to send a letter home. Uh, I'm so our internal communications is working. This was just external, right?
Actually, you begin to notice that the longer you are traveling, the harder and harder it's getting to do internal communications.
Oh, this is dang ship. I'm gonna go make my way down to where our communication arrays are and see if there's anything mechanical wrong with it. Maybe try to fix it. Try to at least get our internal communications up because that's just not great if something goes wrong.
Okay. Uh, so I'm going to say it's going to be. I'm still going to say I'm going to give you a choice: electronics moderate test, or you can try for that communications test, uh, even though you're going to be at a penalty, because if you do not have the skill.
Actually, I don't have any penalties because
Oh,
for Kaltorin, all non-trained skills are -1, and then I took the Jack of all trades trait, which also reduced everything to a negative by 1. So I'm at a 0 on anything that I haven't trained at.
well, there you go. Let's go ahead and see how you do with the communications check on that.
So I'm not seeing communications. What would that be under?
I think that's a
Oh,
1E skill.
okay. Let's go with electronics then. Let's try it
Okay.
again.
So we're doing moderate.
Yep. Which, by the way, to everyone out there, we are using the second edition playtest rules. Thank you so much, Wade, for permission to use this for the show, and hope we do you justice here.
Wade does say use electronics for communications.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So a 15 and I rolled a 6.
All right. So, what you begin to discover is something exterior to the ship is causing high levels of electromagnetic interference. So you begin to try and look into that, and you did really well on the test. I'm going to go ahead and say that whatever it is, it's actually coming from the moon.
So something from the moon is interfering with our
Yes.
communications. I'm going to, well, I guess I can't contact anybody. I'm going to walk back to our little mess area and see if the little Ellie drone is still there.
It is, yes.
Okay.
And
And
it's
I'm
still
gonna,
like trying to like do some sort of mechanical work.
hey, Ellie, sorry, I don't know which number you are. I can't keep it straight. There is something from the moon that's causing interference with our communications. I can't do any kind of internal communications right now. Do you have anything? Do you have any records on why they would be jamming us, or why anything from the moon would be jamming us?
We are unsure, but we have also noticed increased issues with the communications array. Do you need assistance sending your correspondences?
Well, no. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out how we can get communications back on in the ship in case something goes wrong. Because right now we're so spread out. If something goes wrong, I mean, I can't reach any of you guys.
Should I send one of my drones
Who
to join the others? There are
I'm
several of us.
No, yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm on my way to tell the captain what's going on, and so if you want to send one of your drones to Faza, then that would be perfect.
It is done.
And then I'll make my way up to I'm assuming the bridge to see if the captain's there.
The captain would be preparing the documentation needed for the inspection that's going to be happening.
Okay. That said, so is Ellie looking into this jamming from the planet, or is there anybody doing that?
I suppose they could.
All right. Uh, let's go ahead and start off with the electronics. We'll go there first.
All right, and since it's a skill roll, I believe it is 3d6, and then I will be adding my electronic skill along with
Yes.
any workshop or toolbox bonuses.
And just because of the way the ship works, yeah, go ahead and add a bonus because you're essentially doing it all from your room where you have access to all the arrays.
Ellie is also intimately familiar with this ship, so let's see. Ooh, it is a total of 14, and one of them is a 6, and then I add my +5. So 19.
Nice.
Okay. You are looking at the wavelengths and you're like, okay, if this is some sort of jamming or military jamming, uh, no, this would not be it. The wavelength is too chaotic, it's too rounded, it's not manufactured. And it's like something this clicks in the back of your mind, and you're like, oh, uh, moons and planetoids that have molten nickel cores create electromagnetic interference, and so this planetoid is likely a natural jamming source. And so, kind of this clicks for you at that moment. You're like, oh, wasn't that just interesting?
Ellie will go ahead and send the messages that Jax was trying to send earlier, if they are capable of doing that.
The only way that you're going to be able to get a signal out at this point will be laser communication. You will have to do direct sighting to one of the local satellites and hope it gets out. Obviously, radio signal will not work for the moment, and even then, signal between planets out here can take minutes, if not hours, depending on how far out it is.
Well, in that case, that seems like far more effort than Ellie wants to put in. So they will just send a drone to our remaining crew members and inform them of electromagnetic activity has been detected from the moon. It will be affecting ship systems while we are in its periphery.
Now that explains why I haven't been able to get through to the systems. I was gonna say I can't upload any of my recent information. Ellie, how is your drone working? Can you still talk to yourself?
Yes, we are all in an array. It is closed.
Gonna have to try adding that to my research. Okay. And he's gonna turn back and ignore the little Ellie drone while it's sitting there.
Okay. So, as this is all going on, and as your ship begins to approach the moon, through three new corporate ships begin moving to intercept. Each is a armed and agile planetary skiff model. So Ellie and the captain, these would pop up essentially on your radar actively as energy sources. You would register that they are moving into an intercept, course. Uh, and saying that they are planetary skiff models means that they do not have jump drives. These are meant mainly for patrol and other things like that. So, as y'all are working over laser communication, you receive the message. Infinity, this is the CIS Huntsman. You will enter into orbit as directed and prepare to be boarded.
Boarded. I guess that makes sense because we're going to get inspected. Never mind. Are these what I know? Are these the types of ships that they usually send for inspections?
Now that it would be something to definitely wonder about. Uh, let's go ahead and say maybe as a corporate. Uh, what do you want? What do you think you'd want to go with on that to try and see as far as knowledge on that?
Um,
Uh, I
Perhaps awareness?
let's
Would that
let's go
make
for it.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's,
Oh, that is a 16 with 2 6s. Actually, it's a 17 with 2 6s.
this does strike you as a little bit odd. These ships aren't normally registered to the corporation entity that you are working under. The corporation, I should explain for our viewers, is not a corporation in the technical term. It is an entire species, uh, which her character is a part of.
Mhm.
There are corporations that operate within it, and I believe there is kind of a council at the top of this that makes a lot of the decisions. But these ships are actually registered to a smaller company that is known for security and inspections that uh, from a group they have kind of a very interesting name. Uh, they are official, but the name is kind of intimidating. They're known as Body Count Incorporated.
Okay. And the transmission seems to be coming from these intercepting ships.
Yes, it would have been.
Okay.
It literally is a laser transmission direct from their ship to yours.
Direct from their ship to ours. Okay. And then just to confirm, they want us to park at the moon or
They want you to go into orbit,
okay.
and then they will dock.
Then she's going to send a laser message back if possible saying, this doesn't appear to be a normal inspection. Can you give reason for needing to board and dock as opposed to stopping at our inspection station as usual?
Well, here's the thing. This is just to get, and they're talking actually fairly calmly back to you, but they're like, this is just getting everything checked out. You've been away a while, and you're slated for decommissioning. There's been a slew of crews taking side jobs offering cheap transit to turn a personal buck using corporate property. The council wants this one by the books. So, once suspected and verified, you are to make a direct voyage to the Lilith corporate flotilla for salvage.
Fair enough. And I'll tell David and Bowie to continue following the path to orbit so we can be boarded, I guess.
And they even over the same communications, they send you official credentials.
Okay. Then Benji wouldn't be quite as nervous about them coming on board because they have credentials that seem as official as mine.
John, we should probably verify, is every member of the crew supposed to be a member of the crew?
Yes, yes.
And we don't have any surprise dead bodies in our storage, right?
Well, there is that weird goo leaking out of the containers out of Hangar 4F.
That's been there for at least a year.
I thought
Yeah,
we agreed we weren't going to talk about the ooze from the containers in 4F.
Yeah, but it's the company's fault that there's ooze coming out of the containers in 4F. They're the one that placed it on the ship without telling us it needed specific gravitational metrics.
I mean, last time I tried to do my exercises in there, I slipped and it took forever to get out of the fur.
Did you land on your feet, though?
I mean, kind of.
That said, just to note, so with this, the Hangar 4F. Additionally, I want my players to also know that when it came to this ooze, this is actually a part of our ship. Uh, that the crates are now sealed and filled though with a malleable and worthless goop that seems to act as oobleck. So yeah, you probably did slip on it, and it was a pain in the neck to try and clean that out, probably out of your fur as well.
I tried a sonic shower. I tried the bioprinter to see if I could come up with some sort of comb. That stuff does not come out of fur. So I'm just hoping they're not here for that stuff, or maybe they are here for that stuff. That'd be nice too.
Okay, so you take up your orbit around the moon. Not too long after the three ships arrive, two kind of take up flanking positions, and one begins the docking procedure. And you hear the sounds over over your headphones. Everything's checking out as the two computers communicate. Docking collars are secured, and it informs you that you have air and ability to move between the two vessels now. Uh, that said, is anybody going to be going to meet them?
I would.
All right.
I'm there with all my documentation ready to go, standing by the doors to greet them. Welcome to our home.
I guess Fazer would also be there just to offer the captain back up.
Okay.
Thank you.
The individuals that disembark basically coming through a porthole on a ladder and entering into the ship. You see one member who is corporate, and you see an additional three Legion members accompanying them. So that said, this individual that's leading them has high-end clothing on. You see the traditional, whites and yellows and blacks of the corporate, look, but at the same time, this is high fashion. And they are pretty much looking around and pulling on a pair of gloves, afraid to touch anything. And but the thing is, of course, these individuals behind them, these three brawny individuals, are wearing body armor, carrying large weapons. Their faces obscured by the masks and helmets that they are wearing, but the body shape and size, there can be no doubt that these are Legion. That said, Fazra, how you feeling?
I'm suddenly regretting backing up the captain. Fazra is going to try to remain stoic, much with that facial expression. standing behind its captain and trying to ignore the fact that the two races that hate his people the most are in this hallway with them.
In fact, the corporate individual, a young woman with long bluish hair, now kind of looks at you, kind of starting at your feet and looking up, and kind of makes that tut tut sound under their, under the breath. My name
Hmm.
is Colonel Hadley, and we're just here to get this done. And pulls out a clipboard and says, "So let's start. Crew quarters."
This way. And I start heading towards crew quarters. And as we're walking, I look at Colonel Hadley and say, "Is all of this backup really necessary? I mean, this is just a normal inspection."
Normal within reason, but you are not. And she kind of stops for a moment and looks over at Vazra and kind of rolls her eyes and says, "This is not only crewed by corporate individuals. Otherwise, we wouldn't doubt whether or not there was an issue of possibility of smuggling."
My crew maintains the same standards as any corporate crew. It matters not how they were born.
And she just kind of inhales and quite. And basically just starts going room by room. These individuals, occasionally she has them get the doors. Uh, and, this is like, "Cronus, get this one. Asterix, please check under that mattress." Things of that nature, going from room to room. Uh, that said, go ahead and give me an awareness check as this is all happening for those of you who are observing.
13 and 1 6.
That is a 12, no sixes.
Either way, that is going to be more than enough. So Fazra realizes that this is definitely mere formality. The level to which they are, kind of interfering and interacting with you is unnecessary. The lifting the mattresses and everything else, they don't care. That is definitely something you are picking up on this. That said, additionally, you are going to be picking up for Benji that this is almost being done out of spite. Uh, and not only is it being done out of spite, I'm also going to say it's being done with maybe an intent to make it take a little longer.
Okay. Interesting.
So they begin going level by level. They check the hangars, which is, of course, there's absolutely nothing in them. Sorry. Dry mouth, talking too much. Hydrate, people, hydrate. But there's nothing in the hangars, but they still walk into them and look around. You would almost guess, are they going to start chronicling amount of dust to see if they can charge for it?
Okay.
Except when they get, of course, get to hangar 4H and just the door opens, they look at it, kind of blink a few times. "I don't think we need to look in here," and the door closes again. And they continue. That said, while this is all going on, I'm going to say that Ellie, with the captain away, would you be paying a little bit more attention to the bridge?
No more than is necessary.
25%.
Maybe 33% capacity, but Ellie, it does have eyes everywhere on the ship, and most likely will have attempted to infiltrate any communications devices that the Corp may have brought on board.
All right. Uh, let's go ahead and do an electronics roll. See if you're able to hack into that.
That is a 20. No sixes, though.
Okay. Well, that said, I'm gonna say absolutely, and so a whole bunch of military lingo, verifying positions, but everything refers to your ship as target. They don't even refer your ship by name.
We shall file that away in our memory banks and inform the captain later.
But you realize that the two drone AIs are doing something. Uh, now, that said, I do want to go into a little bit on that. So, at the helm, we have two AI drones that they've been on the ship since it was found. And their interactions, it's as if over time, the interactions between them two have almost made a semi more sentient being, as if maybe a rudimentary network or system has been found between the two of them. And where at one time they were simply just drones doing what they were told, they have developed personalities. And so they are obviously up to something. And ever since they were first found, of course, the two of them have been referred to as David and Bowie. But as they are messing around with something and all this inspections are happening, uh, they begin to get very excited, like rapid movements, and as if the two are communicating back and forth. Is there anything you're going to do, Benji? Or is there anything you're going to be doing, Ellie?
My employment contract with the Corp prevents me from interfering with their internal network, so Ellie will continue to observe them at 33% capacity.
Okay. You notice that they bypass your system, close off the doors between the ship and also the skiff that is docked, depressurize it, and roughly shake off the skiff and begin to veer off and away at high speed.
This was not us. The drones are
Now,
malfunctioning.
behind you, though, as they are pulling away, you now are registering the sounds of laser fire and blasts. And it's kind of interesting because you're on a ship that does have rudimentary gravity. It is a part of the ship. But imagine that moment as you're on a roller coaster, as you crest the top of the hills, and you kind of leave your seat just a little bit. Imagine that feeling as this ship basically dunges and darts and twists away from all these ships that are or at least these three ships that are both chasing you and firing upon you.
Oh. As soon as this starts, Benji starts running towards the flight deck.
Okay. A coda transmission begins playing over the loudspeakers.
Mhm.
And again, coming from the two AIs at the front. And it begins to play out for you and says, in a voice that sounds familiar, as the Miss Swift, the matron of a bar that you have frequented many times, a certain, uh, shall we say, satellite bar on the edge of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
She calls, you register that it's her voice and it says, Infinity, this is. If you get this message in time, do not stop. You got to run. News briefings on the Trid are coming out of this, saying your ship lost manual power, went adrift, and you exploded. The news began arriving only a few hours after you jumped. That means, according to the Haven Star system, your ship is destroyed and you haven't existed in at 48 hours. Run now. As this is being played out over the loudspeakers, the guards that are in the hallway with you begin to raise their weapons, pointing them both at the captain and at Basra. So, with that said, we're going to get into a little bit of a question of what everybody's going to be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn down that space battle a little bit as the ship pulls away. So, the question is, again, what are y'all going to do?
I think the first thing I would keep running, but knowing that they have weapons trained on us would yell behind me. Because we're like in a hallway with bays around us, right?
Yes.
Because they've been inspecting them. Okay. I'm gonna yell, and I have a trait called inspirational that I'm gonna try and use to get Fazra to listen to me, which I'm sure he's also encouraged to by the guns aimed at him. But
Not at all. Nope.
yell, Fazra, emergency procedure 4C. And that procedure we've all practiced, and it's run to the nearest bay and emergency lock the door behind you.
All right.
So hopefully you listen. I don't know if I need to roll anything for that, but I'm hoping that you just run and lock it.
I'm going to say, let's go ahead and say that y'all need to take an action here and get away.
Okay.
Let's see. What would I say in this situation? I know that they're firing on you. We're going to keep this to a semi-cinematic style. We're not going to go into hard combat with minis for this, especially since our characters are pretty much not interested in fighting at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and say. Let's go ahead and say maybe for this, let's go with a physical test.
Okay.
So, John, out of curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to try to do an arcane skill roll real quick, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as I mentioned earlier, Fazra is a creature powered by the All Beings energy, which he is able to channel in different bursts of actions, for lack of a better description. The first thing he can do is he has a weapon known as an All Shield, which grants himself basically light cover. He just kind of summons it and appears in his hand. It's a hammer
Nice.
made out of light. But I would like to use that and kind of increase the light cover the hammer emits into a entrenched cover for the captain and myself, and basically make a force field to fill the hallway, so we have long enough to run away without getting shot in the back.
Nice. And so it gives gives a little bit better cover for you. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and say consider that a tool with this physical test. How's that sound?
Works for me.
All right. So let's go ahead and make that a +2.
All right. Well, that is a 8, but I got a 6. I'm going to use a strong hit to re-roll one of those ones that I rolled.
Wait, hold on. I was given a reroll. Don't spend that. Just use my reroll that was gifted to me in chat.
Well,
Well,
I'm
no,
going
it's not
to.
automatic.
I get it automatic because I rolled a
Oh,
6,
okay.
and using a strong hit.
Okay.
So whenever you roll a 6, you have a list of things you can do with it.
Cool.
So I used that. I wish I could show you guys, but I re-rolled one of those ones, and it also rolled a 6,
Oh,
which I'm going to use to re-roll that last one. So in total, I am looking at a 6, and a 4 plus 2. Bumps me up to an 18 for
awesome.
that arcane test.
All right. You, I'm gonna say that there's the fire of lasers going off behind you, just striking the shield and being deflected into the wall with nary a hit coming at you. I'm gonna say that works for both of you. Are you both going to run into the same room?
Fosra is going to follow the captain.
Oh, the captain's running towards the flight deck.
Oh, you're running for flight deck. Are you still going to
Yes.
follow then, Basra, given the command that she gave earlier?
I'm going to follow the captain.
Okay.
Okay.
My job is to keep the crew safe, and I can't do much for Ellie, so I have to keep the squishies alive.
Fair.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, ooh, as you're running, is this shield? Uh, Let me go ahead and ask this: is this staying with you, or is this blocking off a certain area? How's this exactly working?
So I will say, if you'll allow it, I'm gonna go with it. It was basically a force field to fill that section of the hallway, and that it's gonna stay there in that section as we're running away from it.
All right,
I'll leave it up to you to decide if they are able to make it through, or
all
if it
right.
was just like for stopping lasers.
I'm gonna say that they are going to backtrack and find another way forward. The question is, at this point, will they catch up? So let's go ahead and do another physical test. And I'm gonna say that they're go ahead and continue to use the bonus from that thing that essentially stopped them, slowed them down, because that is going to act against them. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and set a difficulty, and we'll say for now difficulty I'm going to set it at 12.
I got an 8.
I got a 14.
All right.
4 and double ones.
And I got 6 in my roll.
Ooh, let me see. So for that, so that's you got your 6. So that's a strong hit.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm going to say that you hear the sounds of the soldiers coming up a hallway, kind of paralleling you.
Okay.
And as you run by, you slam your hand on one of the door hatches, and it closes it up. I'm going to say that she's going to go ahead and help you get to the flight deck with her.
Yes.
Works for me. That way I don't have to spend a point of grit.
As you're as you're running through this, all of a sudden, the ship is going to engage its jump drive.
Okay.
So you hear the sound, and it's as if all of a sudden you enter into a much faster pace of travel. Uh, this isn't faster than light. This is an in-system ability to travel, you know, hundreds to thousands of miles further along as you make your way between planets. So that does mean, however, that you have left all those skiffs behind.
Okay.
So at least for the moment. Now this you're going to come out of this form of travel here not too long. But that said, you still have people on board the ship with you. What are y'all going to do? And how are you at this point? I'm going to say you are also able to communicate. All forms of communication between all of you have now become open as you've left the moon's area.
Okay. Did we made it to the flight deck?
Yes.
Okay. Um, as soon as we got through the door and into the flight deck, I would have done whatever emergency procedure to get the door to close and lock from the inside. Um, and then would get on comms and say something to Ellie and Jax. Be like, Ellie, Jax, you need to lock your doors. Do not go anywhere. I repeat, lock your doors. Stay inside. We're in
What's going on?
danger.
So when we got that broadcast, did that go shipwide, or was that just Ellie that heard the broadcast?
That was ship wide.
What is going on? We're destroyed?
They were trying to, it seems like. I don't know exactly what was going on. All I know is we were being shot at, and the inspector and her lackeys are on board the ship, and they are dangerous. Lock your doors.
God
Would you like
dang
us
corporation! You just hear me ranting.
would you like us to vent the hallways?
Wait, I'm still in the hallways.
Let all friendlies get to a safe area, and then you can vent the hallways. I know you have eyes everywhere.
Almost everywhere. Correct.
You know what? Don't worry about me. Just start venting the hallways. I'm going to push a button on my collar, and my emergency exosuit kicks in, and I can survive up to 30 minutes in space without penalty.
Nice.
Okay. I'm going to say that to get them out of the ship without too much issue, I'm going to set it at as a difficult task of a 16. So, Ala, you going to take that?
Let's go for it. Um, Ellie would also like to remind the captain of corporate code 36.c.-a about regarding corporate employee harm, and we would technically be breaking that. Please approve authorization code.
Approved. For the love of the gods, approved.
I think they broke the contract anyway.
Venting initiated. Please hold on.
John, can I assist Ellie by doing an operations roll since I'm in the flight deck?
You know, why not?
That is a 5, 3, 3. That is an 11 plus 2, 13, Bob. So that is a +1 to your roll, Ellie.
Ellie has an 18 with 1 6, so I would like to use the positive quick.
Okay. Yeah.
Complete this task faster than expected.
All right. As they are moving about the ship, trying to find, it looks like they were doubling back to go find an acetylene torch. You know, some way to get into the area where y'all were. And as they go into a hangar, it just happens that you turn off the gravity briefly for the entire ship. The centrifuges stop rotating and they drift up into the air a little bit. And the doors rapidly open and they are vented immediately out into space. However, I will say your ship is at high levels of travel and a little bit of centrifugal force. They basically bounce off the sides of the hangar wall a few times and are dragged out and into space.
Oh no. Anyway.
They'll be fine,
Hold your
right?
breath.
I
So,
have gone ahead and activated the distress beacon on their comm devices, so they shall be rescued in, hopefully, a timely manner.
all right.
You're a better man than all of us, Ellie.
Now,
We do not have a gender.
Did Buckmaster survive it?
We have activated his magnetic rear legs.
Well, we already knew that he had anti-grav. Pre-established.
There we go.
all right. Well, that said, I'm going to go ahead and check with my producer here. And so, we're going to take a quick break really quick and allow all of my players to go and eat, consume, reduce, whatever, and we will be back in 10 minutes, everyone. We hope you'll stick around and we'll see you soon. All right, and we are back in. Welcome back to Rook and Rasp with our game for the Fragged Empire, which is the Darkness of Infinity, which is the name of our ship, and I think everybody's getting a better idea what the darkness is we're facing. But that said, I want to go ahead and begin our story back up with everybody on the bridge. So, since it's earliest days of discovery, the cockpit has been the model of utilitarianism and simplicity. A general captain's station and readout looks out over two additional stations where drone level AIs that you all have now met pilot the ship. David and Bowie, as they have been called by the crew, have developed some behavioral oddities. And when it comes to their job and ability to fly, their hardwired circuitry, however, allows them to fly the ship of this size with unmatched maneuverability. Now, two additional positions also sit close behind the captain's station. One used for radio and laser communication systems, as well as another that works as an oversight station for the drones, often displaying fuel consumption ratios, energy radar readouts, and there is a glowing red button that is covered by an aged yellow sticky note with the fading words "Only in emergencies" written on it. And this is where we find our crew all together, which obviously some of you will definitely be more physically present than others. Ellie, are you actually going to come out and join them for this?
No. We're still at well, we're up at 45% operational capacity for attention. The rest is still on the holodramas.
Even though you're living your own holodrama?
Yes, I really want to see how this arc ends.
Now, all things, with the way that it's going, you have been in this jump travel for a bit, and the engines, at one point, you have traveled quite a ways away, thousands of miles from where you started, but still a long distance to travel in space till you reach anything else. You're essentially in a little bit of a no man's land, uh, just before reaching an area known as the Monopoly Belt, which separates Mispacha from Alabaster. So, with that said, though, out in this no man's land, uh, energy radar, you pick up all energy signatures. You have left all those signatures behind, and if you really took the time, you would see the satellites ahead, larger ones, smaller ones that are communications, and obviously fully lived in space stations. Uh, and there are going to be some that would be scattered throughout the Monopoly Belt. These are all, of course, small operations, space stations. But you're also an energy signature out here in the middle of space. You didn't jump through a jump drive. You didn't jump through a jump gate. You pretty much, from that moon, got the heck out of there thanks to David and Bowie. You now are reading energy signatures coming from Alabaster as well as Miss Pacha. Uh, Intercept, maybe, but obviously getting closer to you and your position. Might take time for them to get here. What are y'all doing? How are y'all discussing?
John, I would like to roll planets as a skill to see if I can think of some place we can mask our energy signal and just try to figure out what the hell we're doing and where to go from here.
Well, the obvious one that first jumps to your mind was this moon back behind you. But yeah, let's go ahead and make that test.
All right, so that's actually a 15. I've got a 4, a 5, and a 6. I'm going to spend this. Actually, no. I'm not going to spend the 6. I'm actually pretty happy with a 15 on the dice. So with a +2 for planets, that is a 17.
Wow. Yeah, you're pretty sure that up ahead in the Monopoly Belt, if you can get the ship there, you might be able to power down the ship or at least figure out a way to mask it with some of the other asteroids there. Maybe park on one of the nickel ones or one of the rockier ones. If it came to heat signature, that would usually be an issue, but maybe if you can get to a large one, you'll just look like a speck.
Captain, back during the Great War, there was a series of small nickel iron planetoids in the Monopoly Belt off on this way. I suggest we head there and try to figure out our next step and think your friend. Was that her voice? Your friend from the bar?
Yeah, that was, oh, what was her name?
I do believe that
Marnie?
she was. Mhm.
Cool. I've named her. Her name is Marnie. That was Marnie. We're absolutely going to have to find a way to thank her. But if you know of a place that we can hide while we try to figure out what is happening and how we're going to get there, absolutely just let David and Bowie know, and I'm sure they'll take us to where we need to be.
I can't promise that the planetoids are still there. It's been a few thousand years, but I can give them the coordinates. And he'll head up to the two drones to at least give them a rough idea of the coordinates.
All right.
Captain, do
So,
you even have an idea what's going on? Why? I mean, this doesn't make any sense. So obviously, we're not going to take the ship to be reprocessed or decommissioned. I mean, they're probably going to be the end of my life, and that's not something I'm looking forward to.
Is it some sort of insurance scam or something?
Um, I honestly no clue. I only know what David and Bowie have told me, which is that they overheard some communications speaking about us as a target, um, and they moved us before we could be attacked. Do
Makes
I
no
have any
sense.
more information than that? Am I aware of anything
no,
additional
I mean,
that no
obviously,
one has told me about?
you know, it is a question of
Mhm.
on a ship like this, what could they be after?
They're
What
after
is
the
it?
oobleck. They just wanted to make sure we still had it.
It's
Now,
actually super valuable.
wouldn't that be a game?
Billions of credits for this oobleck.
Now, obviously, the question comes down to what secrets does this ship hold? Uh, which, Ellie, there are some secrets. Uh, there are entire systems that you cannot access. Uh, this ship's main spine is still intact, but there are areas of the ship that just haven't been powered up. Things have been left undone. Uh,
I have a question.
mhm.
Would the captain be able to give Ellie override permission? Is that
uh,
something we could try?
Honestly, what this comes down to is more of mechanical and electronic. It's
Okay.
like this would be repairs
Yeah,
and
that's fine. I
actually
can
looking
do
into it.
one of those, but
Okay.
Ellie's probably better at it.
One of the systems that obviously is still powered down is the ship's weapons systems.
Mhm.
Uh, this ship has two essentially mothballed railguns.
Okay.
Not inexpensive things. Obviously, there's some worth in those, but not much. But that, giving examples of systems that y'all haven't been able to access.
Okay.
While we are cloaked, for lack of better words, perhaps it will be a good opportunity to evaluate all ship systems.
And we can get the railguns up. I mean, hopefully there's some ammo left to power them.
This thing had railguns? Was this a warship at some point?
Correct.
Long time ago.
It was repurposed about 8 centuries ago.
A tragedy.
And most likely, corporation decided it was cheaper just to leave the railguns on here than try to remove them.
Yeah. In fact, in some of the hangars, it actually makes a little bit of sense. There are strappings and places to moor, uh, not necessarily crates or containers, but perhaps based on the shaping and arrangement, battle armors. This could have been a troop carrier during a previous progenitor war of some sort.
Ooh. Um,
Captain, these are all the records that were on the corporate devices Perhaps you will find some extra information among them.
Thank you, Ellie. And I will start scrolling through them.
So are we
Okay.
now parked by one of the moons?
I'm gonna say, based on the situation, you've got a few hours, but yeah, I'm gonna say that you pull into that, into the belt, find a large nickel asteroid to hide in a crater thereof, and wait. Have you ever seen the movie The Last Starfighter?
Yep. Actually, I was thinking more empires going into a crater, but yeah.
That works too. That works too.
So
Classic.
Captain, I suggest we shut down all non-essential energies. Try to reduce our signature as much as we can. Let's leave life support on. It's gonna get cold for you and I. I suggest we turn down. Don't reduce life support, but let's reduce the heaters so that we're not producing any more heat. Ellie's gonna be fine. Thazra, I assume the cold's not gonna bother you that much.
I'm no legion, but I should be okay.
Let's bundle up, Captain. It's gonna get cold while we're waiting this out.
Captain pulls her coat a little bit tighter around her and is like, I'll be fine. Thank you for your concern.
May
Okay,
we
so
recommend spacesuits in case of any disturbances?
Well, depends. I mean, that's a great suggestion, Ellie, but if I'm going to be crawling around trying to get those railguns operating, I'm not going to be able to do that in a spacesuit.
That assumes they didn't sell all the spacesuits before trying to scrap the ship.
There is that.
The captain would have insisted that we have at least enough spacesuits for the, meat
just
bags
the
on the
group.
ship.
3 of us.
Okay. That said, I'm gonna ask for 3 tests that I'm looking for. They are going to be hard difficulty at 14. I'm looking for mechanics, electronics, and programming, and to fill this time. Yeah, you have something that you want to say, Ted?
I do not believe programming is a second edition skill.
Goodness, why?
It
What
is now
character sheet do I have
computers.
pulled up? Give me a moment. I have my wrong character sheet pulled up. That
I have
happens,
done
right?
that.
There it is. I feel like a silly. All right, so let's go mechanics, electronics, and computer.
I have none of those, so I think.
have
Oh, go ahead.
computer.
I mean, I have the mechanics. I mean, ship's mechanic.
Mhm.
I can probably handle electronics and computers, but
All right, so let's go ahead and get those out of the way. Each one is going to be a 14, and they're going to reveal different information.
So, quick game mechanics question because I'm drawing a blank. So with mechanics, which is a strength score, my strength is 4, so I still only roll 3 dice, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Always.
But you get your bonus for having a high strength added to your mechanics.
Right, which I did. Yeah, I've got that on there. All right, so we're looking for a 14
Mm-hmm.
on mechanics. 6. 14 exactly.
All right. So, many of the systems you decide, as you're going through it, you do exit the ship, crawling out and taking a look at the railguns. You're discovering that essentially these systems are just old and without power. You would be able to repair and get the railguns back online, but they essentially only have one shot in the barrel. There is nothing else left.
And and since they are rail guns, they're in a mounted position, so we'd actually have to maneuver to get the shot off if we needed to.
Not necessarily, actually.
Not necessarily.
No, these are actually on turrets. They would be
Ooh,
individually controlled.
nice.
Fancy.
Okay. I'll report that to the captain and see if she wants me to get them functional. Report back that they're working. We're only going to have one shot out of each one. So if you want me to, I can get them. I can get them back up and running. It looks like it just needs some connections for power, and they'll work.
Yes, please. We truly don't know what's going to happen, so uh, better safe than sorry.
I'll spend the time getting them up.
Perfect.
While you're out there, Jax, you do take a bit of pride and enjoyment. Probably a few memories jumping into your head of working outside ships from your lineage. Just
Mhm.
something pops in there. It's like, man, I remember. Well, I remember when somebody else did this.
Right.
Uh, but you're enjoying it. This the feel and the reality that you're having to work this through the thick steel and fibroacrylic armor that makes up the external part of the ship, allowing it to do planetary drops into caustic environments. And it pops in your mind that this ship is huge, and that is a lot of that material that would actually be worth quite a bit as well. Not necessarily enough, you think, for what's happening, but still, this ship is the gold mine.
This ship's worth more than we're thinking. Um, Captain, I'm on the comms. Captain,
Yes, Jax?
uh, I just realized as I'm working on the guns that the the skin of the ship, which is a composite armor,
Mm-hmm.
this ship's actually worth a lot of money. I think more so than we ever gave it credit.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
At the very least, it wouldn't be that hard for them to repurpose this back into some kind of battleship.
If that's the case, why would they try to blow us up?
I don't think they were going to blow us up. You know, I don't have that high of opinion of the corporation, but I wouldn't put it past them to concoct that story to cover up the loss of the crew, and then what better cover to repurpose the ship than to say it had been blown up.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Thank you.
It's just what I'm thinking about as I'm out here. You guys should come out here sometime. The view is spectacular.
Good to know. I think I'll leave that to you for now. Appreciate the offer.
Oh, always happy to offer a new experience.
So, the rest of you, what are he's out there doing that. I just want to know, Fazra, what are you doing while all this is happening?
So Fazra has no electronics, computers, or mechanics. He is very much more biological, biotech type stuff. But I hate to keep relying on the arcane skill rolls. But one of the things that you can do with it is you can be guided by the all being that's supposed to help you figure out what the heck you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
So I think while everyone else is doing their stuff, he's just going to be in a corner meditating, trying to figure out what the heck the all being wants them to do from here. So that's what Fazra's doing. He's just off in a corner meditating while they're doing their mechanical, electronical, computery stuff.
The captain is good at computers. And the captain only rolled an 11 plus her 2, but one of the dice is a 6, and apparently that means you can re-roll one of your dice. And so I had a 6, a 4, and a 1, so we're going to re-roll that 1 and see if we can get a little better. That's a 5, so
Hey, there you go.
15 plus 2, so 17 for computers.
All right. So with the computers, you're finding that there is a lot that was here that has just been stripped out. High-end environmental systems that were probably far more advanced than what's in here now. And it's kind of infuriating to realize that this ship probably ran a whole lot better before everybody decided that's parts of it were worth more. But the thing is that you begin kind of a good way to think of it is you're sticking your fingers into Medusa's hair and hoping it doesn't bite you. Just trying to figure out what all these old systems do, and you manage to pull up everything on computer and begin re-engaging. systems. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah. Uh, in fact, it's almost as if imagine Ellie taking a deep breath. That feeling of just the rush of a really deep breath, and all of a sudden extending to the blood flow extending to the tips of your fingers within this ship, as if all of a sudden there are new pathways, uh, odd destinations, maybe. So, with that said, Ellie, are you gonna make that electronics roll?
Certainly. Captain, we require prior authorization to access previously inaccessible systems.
Authorization granted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is an 18 altogether. No
There we
sixes or
go.
ones, unfortunately.
You don't need it. With that over the top, you begin interfacing, and you have found unlimited control within this ship almost. But not only that, traveling down the spine, you interact with what is a high end chrono computer. Uh, the unfortunate part is that you don't exactly speak the same language. It's as if you try to interact with it several times, and it is just merely waiting for input. And it is waiting for permissions. That much you manage to understand, but it is a little bit beyond you, which is both intriguing and infuriating. But it's almost like you're reaching past him over the shoulder to feel what is there, what is on the other side of this program, trying to reach out and touch it. And what you feel is that there is a solo jump drive on this ship. Uh, High end lay powered, and this is some high end technology that would allow you to leave the entire star system without use of a jump gate.
Ooh.
Captain, we believe we have found what they are looking for.
What would that be?
A jump drive.
Uh, we have a jump drive.
A real jump drive. Not a pale imitation. This will
Oh,
allow us to go anywhere.
that's handy and expensive. Why did they put that on this ship?
The Corp did not put this on the ship. This was a previous uh, installation.
Previous to Ellie?
We have no memory banks related to this installation.
Well, I guess that solves the mystery of the red button, Captain.
I've always wanted to press that button. I never understood why they just put like a sticky note on it. I'm surprised no one accidentally hit it before now.
She
Should I
says as she
press it?
puts her elbow on it.
As she starts to kind of,
Don't push it. I'm on the outside of the ship.
well, hurry up and get back in here. I want to press the button.
We currently are not interfaced with this jump drive. We do not believe that it is a good idea to press any buttons.
When you say we are not, do you mean the ship is not like it's not fully plugged in, or
And also us.
Ellie?
Yes.
Have you ever not been interfaced with it?
Not in its entirety.
Interesting.
So I don't know the whole wires mechanics thing, but is there any way we could graft Ellie to this other machine so that they have a connection to it?
Technically, you do, but I'm going to say right now, as far as difficulty with that test, this is a very difficult task. This will be an 18 within your programming.
So would that be electronics or computers?
That would be computers.
Okay, I can try.
Okay.
Hopefully,
Can I
the
try to
dice
assist
cooperate.
by doing
Yeah.
psychology? Psychology specifically says you can use it to understand a organic or complex digital computer.
I will allow it in this situation, which might tell you something.
Ellie will also assist for selfish reasons.
I mean, I got a 14, so that's the +1 you needed. Now, I
Awesome.
don't understand the whole wiry thing, but I mean, I do understand complex organisms, and this seems like the best place to do a grafting.
Okay,
Please
so
do not use such mundane terms.
so I have a 14, but I rolled a 6 and a 1, so I'm gonna re-roll that one. And we're gonna see. Oh, and that's a 4, so that's 17 with the assist. Is there also an assist from Ellie?
Ellie got a 16 as well.
Okay.
So you all are there.
So we're there. That was exactly an 18.
Nice.
So you're able to graft in. Essentially, what it means is that you do not need to press the red button.
Damn it.
You could still press the red button. Don't
But
let your dreams
you're
say
now-
dreams.
Yeah,
It
you're
would make
now
me feel
able to,
better.
activate this, activate and interact with this computer. This chrono computer is doing mathematical processes even as you are talking to it. In fact, it looks like it's had power this entire time, a very small amount, and it maintains a, think of it as to the nanosecond. It is tracking through mathematics and through travel this complex series of equations. You're this looking at all the information it's figuring out, and it's been doing it for centuries. And all you're able to put together now is that it is tracking a singular object, and that this jump drive will take you to it.
Okay.
The all being is telling me we should be going to this singular object for some reason.
Honestly, I'm all for it. This is a new experience, and I cannot wait to see what this little speck is.
May as well. I don't see why not. We're being essentially hunted. So I'm down to go to wherever this leads.
You're the captain, Captain.
Okay.
Let's go. And I press the button.
You press the button.
Is it bad to press the button? Do you not want me to press the button?
Who are you asking?
Button.
The all being.
You need to meditate to do that.
Crap.
Press the button.
Press the button.
I want to press the button. I press the button.
All right, you press the button, and it pushes into the top of this panel, and stays there.
Anything's happening? Did you press the button?
I pressed the button. Nothing. It's now stuck inside of it. Like it's depressed.
I give it a whack.
Are you? So
Please
you're
do
there
not
with her,
leave
and
the
you
ship.
hit it.
Yeah, I'm back in the ship, and I'm out of the because she was talking about pressing the button. I got fixed. I finished it and got back in as quick as I could because I did not want to get left behind.
I love the idea that Ellie is just putting in a little blockade to prevent the button signal from going all the way through.
Push
I must
harder.
have done something to piss Ellie off.
You push the button,
Mhm.
nothing happens. And of course, hey, why not? Jax just hits it. And the first thing that happens is that all the panels on the bridge shut off.
Oops.
In my experience, that's usually a bad sign.
This is expected.
Ellie, what
A,
did I just do?
a few seconds later, and you notice that the engines power down, and Dave and Bowie shut off.
Ah, shit. What have I done?
I believe organics enjoy surprises. Surprise.
Not like this. I think we've talked about this, Ellie. Bad surprises are not what we look forward to.
What happens if
You,
I... Oh, go ahead.
oh no! What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, what happens if I, like, press the button and try to get it to, like, unpress?
Hold
Does
the
it
Try to
button.
lift it up.
If you want to try, you're welcome to. But I will also say that the room is now dark, but the red button is still illuminated.
I'm going to press it again. What is the purpose of a button if not to be pressed?
The sound of something mechanic outside the ship. You're entirely unsure what exactly is happening.
Never heard that before.
Ellie, are you connected to anything currently?
We are connected to everything.
Are the cameras still working?
Yes.
Is life support still on?
Life support is still at minimal.
Uh, Systems are opening up, and the armor, Ellie, that is on the exterior of the ship is stretching to cover exposed areas.
The ship is adjusting. Please wait.
Wait, adjusting?
What do you mean adjusting?
We have taken some damage. Panels are correcting.
All of a
Uh,
sudden, the ship begins to accelerate.
Are there
You're
seats with
not
seatbelts?
exactly. Hmm?
Are there seats with seatbelts?
There are.
Fowler's going to make his way very quickly to one.
I'll
Please.
notice that and go to the. You said there's three up here: the captain's seat and then the two
Hmm.
adjacent. I'm gonna go to the other one and strap in.
And you feel the first jump, an increase in speed to that which is the interplanetary, something you're much more used to. But you can feel the inertia on your body as if something more is happening. And you are feeling as if you are stretching. Not painfully, but like the realization that something else is happening, almost maybe at a molecular level, as if the that which was holding you in place no longer is. It is very similar to records that some of you have read about early travel through some of the jump gates.
This isn't what it would feel like to go through a normal jump gate now.
Not normally.
Okay.
So a lot of systems have been discovered more so than created that have allowed you a little bit more comfort in jumps. But all of a sudden, it's as if there is silence, and you don't feel anything, you don't hear anything. It's as if for a moment you don't even see anything.
We did.
Have we stopped? I can't tell.
You are not exactly certain where you are, but you're pretty sure you're still on the ship. So, that said, you find yourself Some of you are in darkness, some of you you're not certain. But we're going to go ahead and explain that right now the ship, you feel the inertia around you, which means that the gravity has not re-engaged. Your artificial gravity has not come back, and you're pretty sure that the ship is flying blind. On the exterior of the hull, you hear something, and it sounds like it's either imagine a torrent of rainfall or a hive of angry wasps colliding with the hull.
Do, Ellie, do we know what that sound is from?
That said, so for my people, let's go ahead and get an idea of what's happening nearby you. And I'm going to let you have a little bit of control on that. So I'm going to start off. Let's go ahead and Fazra, you haven't gotten the chance to go first much. So go ahead and roll me a d6. Let's find out where you are in the ship and what's happening.
That is a 4 on my Neapolitan ice cream dice.
Fun. That sounds like great dice. Number 4, the nearby you can tell that there is a hull breach, and air is escaping in your area. You must remove a console to find that breach, and every moment it gets harder to breathe. You can survive in a vacuum until you pass out. There are no molecules for heat to transfer from your body, so you aren't going to freeze to death. But you must stay calm and survive. So, exactly how are you going to handle this?
So, Fozzer is going to take a deep breath because he's been practicing his lung expansions as part of his meditation. Hold his breath, and he has a portable bioprinter, and
Mhm.
he's going to make a thin. He's going to like type into the bioprinter just a skin patch, for lack of a better description, that he can slap over the hole. And I'm going to try to use his biomedical biotech skill for that.
Awesome. Let's go for we're going to say difficult on that. So that's going to put your test at a 16.
All right. Well, I'm at a +3 for the biotech with the printer. So let's see if I can get a 13 or higher. That's a 2, and a 3. I'd like to spend a point of grit on a reroll for that, please.
Let's go for it.
That's a 2, a 1, and a 1. I'd like to spend another point of grit, please, since I have 4 points of grit.
Yep. I will toss out there, audience, that we do also have the opportunity to purchase rerolls for our crew.
I will donate my reroll to Fazra and trying to skin patch the ship.
Don't call it that. That's gross.
This offends me.
There we go. All right, that's a 10. That's a 12. I did get a 6, so I'm going to reroll the 2. Got a 4, so that's a 14 plus 3, 17.
There you go. All right. You have patched the hole and you are very certain that it is tight. Environmental systems will save you. Now you just got to get with the rest of your crew. But things are happening to them too. Let's go ahead and check in with our captain and see what's happening.
Okay.
Roll me a
Captain.
d6.
Yes.
Don't roll a 4. It sucks.
It's a 6.
6. Congratulations. I'm fine. Everything is fine here. How are you?
Ah, I'm great, thanks.
All
Chilling in
right.
my captain's chair.
You are still on the bridge. Yeah, let's go with
Yes.
that.
Skip.
So that leaves Jack's Omni. Go ahead and roll that d6.
Uh, roll a 5.
5. Well, there's nothing worse than fire in space,
Oh no.
and the hull ahead of you is going to present a new challenge. Early space settlers never realized how fuel and gravity could affect it. It wasn't until the first accident that they realized that without proper atmosphere mixture, fire would move, maybe a little bit like an animal, furling and seeking out new food or fuel. So ahead of you in the corridor is a spinning and undulating ribbon of flame, moving randomly, fed by an obfuscated fuel source and maintained by an elevated oxygen saturation in the area. How are you going to handle this? I should mention that it is looking for other sources of fuel and coming towards you.
Look around. Is there anything control system? Any way to access like a fire suppression system, which I would assume the ship would have?
Let's go ahead and say, yeah, you can try and interact with the fire suppression system. And I'm going to say that that's going to be, again, a difficult task. So 16 mechanics.
Okay, I will go for that. Uh, and 12. I will spend a point of grit to reroll.
All right.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, I rolled a 6, so I will reroll.
All right.
So that's going to be the same thing. uh, I'll spend another point of grit to reroll.
I'd like to point out I never used your free reroll
Oh, okay.
since
Then,
I was donated one by Rue.
okay, cool. I'll use that free one then right now. And that is a 17.
There we go. All right. You activate the fire suppression system, and it looks like it is perhaps a part of somebody's uniform or something, shook free and was essentially fuel. It is now charred carbon. So, and it this kind of trails past you in the corridor now. But gravity is still out, but everybody is now able to communicate. Allah, just for fun, why don't we go ahead and have your character roll?
Don't roll a 5, it sucks.
Or a 4.
It's a 2.
Ooh, two. So you are midair. Your body is midair, and your velocity doesn't match the ship coming out of this FTL travel. And the rotation of this ship has a solid deck plate coming right at you. So let's go ahead and how would you like to deal with that?
That is a great question.
I know.
Can I use awareness to potentially grab some of the garbage that I have floating around um Ellie's crew quarters and sort of y- block it?
I am going to say sure, and that's a very unique and way of dealing with the situation. So, with the description, I'm going to go ahead and just for fun give you a +1 on that.
Okay, altogether that is a 14.
All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and say that you managed to block this, and it still shakes you for a moment, but does not damage your body.
Good, because
So,
even this one was expensive and it's garbage.
all right. Obviously, you begin to work to activate the systems of the ship. Uh, and it takes a little bit of time. I mean, so Captain, what are in order of what is happening? What do you think is going to be your order of what do you want the crew to do to fix? How are you going to tell them? Obviously, there's a question of the gravity. There's a question of power to systems. There's the sound outside.
Hmm. Um, I think
We got a hull breach here that only has a patch of skin on it. Maybe something a bit more, you know, permanent might be a better solution.
I think that's a great idea. Ellie, how long would it take you to get gravity back on? Because it's going to be hard to patch things when we're kind of floating around a lot.
22 minutes.
Okay, you get to work on that. Um, let's see. Do we have any spare? Uh, oh, the God, my brain doesn't work now. Um,
I know that
the
feeling.
paneling for the outside of the ship. Do we have spare
There,
squares?
yeah, there's definitely stuff that y'all can be using for that.
Okay.
Obviously, repair
Some
materials, things like that.
I've got some scrap metal down in the workshop that we could probably weld over the hull breach. How big was it?
That's a great question.
Like
John, how big
size,
was it?
size of a quarter.
Okay. So we just need like
Interior.
a so we need like, 6x6 square piece of metal, slap it down, weld it. As
Good
long
idea.
as as long as the dog doesn't have the torch, we're good.
Unless I knew Ellie had the torch.
Speaking of the dog, where is Lieutenant Buckmaster Flash?
Using your cameras and looking through, he is currently in the captain's quarters. He has found a something to chew on just for comfort, and we'll just say, it definitely has a corporate logo on it.
It's one of Benji's spare hats. I
We are
forgot to
sending
mention
it off.
earlier, she wears one of the silly triangle hats.
Nice.
She just really thinks it looks good on her, and so she wears it all the time.
Absolutely.
And she's
And he
got
gives her
like
what, like
6
6
of them.
inches?
All right. So you begin to activate ship systems, getting gravity going. The moment you get gravity going, it's like the cockpit turns back on, and both Dave and Bowie kind of wake up, and they're like, "Well, I guess we did our job." Is essentially you know, the kind of running commentary between the two of them of, "Well, how are you?" It's almost like they're having a little small conversation, and not even piloting the ship.
So-
But you begin to notice that the ship powers up and it starts to go in a direction.
And we
But
still
that
hear
sound,
that and we still hear that pinging, that like rainfall on
yeah,
the hull.
yep. Radar comes up and everything is a blur. It's like whatever this is, you cannot see through it.
John, I have no astronomy, but I'd like to try to make an astronomy roll, please.
Absolutely.
That is a 9 with my -2. So would a 9 tell me, are we in like a debris field? Did we fly into Alderaan for some reason? Or
That would make sense, but uh, I'm going to say, just because at the same time you'll be able to activate external sensors, you find that you are in a dense gas field. And what is bouncing off the hull is particulate and ice. And there are, large bodies of matter out here as well that the ship is maneuvering past.
So it's
Uh,
still heading with a purpose, like in a destination.
yes, it
Oh,
is a nebula that you now find yourself within.
no wonder David and Bowie aren't steering.
So, that said, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to talk about pausing game here for the evening.
Seems fun.
Uh, it's a good spot. We have made it pretty far into the game. I want to go ahead and talk about a few things. Obviously, this is a brand new mini series that we are doing for Fragged. This is a busy month here on the channel. If you haven't heard what all we're doing on Rick and Rasp, today we're starting up a series of Fragged. It'll be running for the next month. This coming weekend on Saturday, we will be having Fallout, the new RPG being put out by Modifius. We're going to be having a game of that ran, I believe, around 2 or 3. As for on That is Eastern time. Then we have, in about 2 weeks, we have X-Crawl starting up. X-Crawl, we are going to be running it in the D&D 5th edition. Basically, we've been talking with people with that, and the people responsible for that with Goodman Games, and it's going to be fun. I don't know if anybody's ever done X-Crawl. It takes place in modern times where people compete in dungeons for fun. People form teams almost like a sport and honor Emperor Reagan. It takes place in the 80s. And they go and they compete in, dungeons around America, or whatever it's called in this fantasy equivalent.
It makes me think of Smash TV, the video game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. But it's a really interesting setting. So we will have that coming up. That is starting up. We also have we're talking about Freedom Squadron possibly being ran. We're talking about that coming back. They are just now going to Kickstarter in October as well. So we have already one video up of that. We're going to be reprising that as well coming up here soon. That is a great game. I'm trying to think. We've got so much going on.
Kids on Bikes, October 30th.
Kids on Bikes, October 30th. So we're doing a Halloween Kids on Bikes themed game. We also have Nerdburger Con for Nerdburger Games. We will be doing a special game of Kids on Bikes, or not Kids on Bikes, sorry, Capers. Like I said, way too much going on. So Capers will be coming up, and Craig from Nerdburger Games will be the actual GM for that as well.
What if I told you about a kid?
So, and then on top of that, we have the Hidden Incursion, Hidden Worlds. Yeah, Capers, there it is. Beautiful book. Highly recommend it. But we also have Hidden Worlds in Incursion, which is a modern setting, urban fantasy, where everybody, it's hunters almost. You are hunting supernatural creatures that are trying to destroy the world. And we will actually have the creator of that actually coming to run that game as well. So, and I know that's not all we have coming this month. Oh, Seventh Seas, which might come this month. And we're going to be having another Call of Cthulhu game starting up here. Maybe not this coming month, probably the month after, or maybe next year. I don't know. November.
All the things.
All the things. Our channel is exploding with content this month. We hope that we will be sure to follow us here on Twitch so that you can get alerts for when it comes. Follow us on Twitter because we're pretty active, making sure that you get announcements out through that. And check out our Discord. There is a link to it if you go to rookandrasp.com. You can go to our Discord and join it and come hang out with all of us there. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and say that we're going to be coming to an end here, but don't go anywhere because we are definitely going to be having a little raid, and we are going to go find a friend out there and hop on their channel and say hello. So the GR crew is playing Titan's Grave.
Perfect.
So
Awesome.
we are going to go hop in on them and say hi. So stick around. Let's go raid.
Thanks
Bye,
for joining
everybody.
us.
Yeah.
Bye,
Night,
everyone.
everyone.
A raiding we will go. A raiding we will go. Hi ho the dare. A raiding we will go.
Piracy.
That's another show.
Party of
Awesome.
16 raid. That's
That is
good.
awesome.
Nice.
All right.